Hi Doreen, as promised, I'm going to show you how to make some frozen treats for your adorable baby. And I apologize for the mess. I've never actually recorded something like this before, so I have my phone up on this little tripod thing. I just want to show you what I have here. I have, this container is just a plain container that I keep in the freezer, and you'll see you know how I put the kongs and the bones in there. I have 2 kongs. These are made out of hard rubber. Your baby is smaller. This is the medium size, so if I were you, I would get the small size. I actually want to order a couple more of these because they roll around. You can even put little kibble in there, and they will your puppy will chase it around to try to get the kibble out, but they're good for a lot of things. These are just plain hollow. They're like old, I think they're like femur bones, but they're hollow, and then I stuffed the inside there. I just got these at PetSmart, and I have 4 of these. So I have 2 dogs, so I have like 1 kong for each and then 2 bones for each. And then I have an ice cube tray that I just got, I think at the dollar store maybe. This has 8 and 8, so the cubes are a little bit smaller. And I'll show you, this is, these are about the size of the ice cubes they make. I don't know if you can see compared to my hand, but they're smaller. And I just keep them, once they're done, once they're frozen, I just pop them out and I put them in a Ziploc baggie in the freezer, so that like this morning, like we took a walk and that they were both hot. So when we got home, I just gave them each one of these to kind of cool off, you know, and they kept them in the kitchen, so I didn't have to worry about them taking them all over the house. Okay, put those back. Now I have my ingredients. I have plain yogurt. This was the only brand they had. For some reason, you just have to make sure when you look at the ingredient list, you do not want any sugar. You don't want any kind of artificial sweeteners. It has to be just unsweetened, plain yogurt. This is 2%. You could use the low fat or the no fat or the full fat. I don't really think that matters, but it has the good bacteria in it, which is really good for your dog's stomach. This is baby food. I'll show you. This is actually just the Gerber. It's called carrot, sweet potato, and pea. Is one kind that I bought this time. I bought another one that's just sweet potato. And this one I have this is called vegetable beef, and it comes in a little 2-pack. So you're gonna use 1 of those per batch. Peanut butter, this is just plain peanut butter. You'll probably use about a tablespoon or a little bit more of this. Again, read the ingredients. Make sure it does not have any artificial sweetener. No, it's called Xylitol with an X. That is toxic to dogs. So just make sure that it has no Xylitol. This one does have sugar, but you can get the kind without sugar. It has sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oil, peanuts, and salt, and that's it. But you can get the kind with no sugar also, which is probably even better. And this is pumpkin that I had left over. Get the pumpkin that's just plain pumpkin. I usually get the forget the brand, but it just says pumpkin. It's not the pumpkin pie filling. The pumpkin pie filling has cinnamon and nutmeg, and you don't want that. You just want the plain pumpkin. So what I do is I take, hoping you can see that. Okay, so you're gonna take some of the pumpkin, and I used half of this. I got the small can, so I used like half of this in a batch before. I'll just put that in there for now. Let's see, here's the baby food. Oops. All right, that's going all over. So this one had the carrots, sweet potatoes, and peas. This is very liquidy. So you can see that going in. It's very, very liquidy, which is fine because it's going to freeze anyway. It doesn't matter if it's liquidy. It's okay. Now the yogurt, I'm not going to use this entire thing of yogurt. Oh, there's a little paper on the top. I'm not going to use this whole thing. I probably will use like that much, maybe a little bit more. And the rest of it, I'll just eat. I'll put some honey in there and I'll just eat it for a snack, and it's delicious. But I usually don't. I may add some, but I'll probably start with that much. Some people will say don't give your dogs dairy. I find that the yogurt is fine. Like, I don't really give my dogs cheese or ice cream or anything like that. The yogurt has cultures in it, so I think it's actually okay for their stomach. Sorry, my finger is dirty. So now you've got this, and now I'm just gonna put in, let me get a clean spoon, some peanut butter. Now the peanut butter, I would say about like, that's more than a tablespoon, but it'll mix around, so it's okay. So there's that. And the peanut butter's thick, so you wanna you're gonna kind of mash that in so you get it really mixed up with everything else. And remember, this, you're making enough, like this will probably be enough to fill my Kongs and my bones pretty much. And then whatever is left over, I put in the ice cube tray. And I usually give the Kongs and the bones to them in the evening. I actually am working with a veterinary behaviorist for my Pip because he has horrible anxiety, and he gets really, really nervous from thunderstorms and fireworks, and he's obsessed with fetch. So she has me doing some things with him, and one of the things is at night, she calls it a cool down. So after we've taken our evening walk and I've let him play ball in the yard for a little bit, and he plays fetch, and then I have him do a few commands, I will give him his Kong or his bone, and that kind of calms him down a little bit. And you know, it kind of just calms him down, and it gives him something to do. It cools him off, and it just keeps him occupied. So you can also use the Kong, like if you're going out or you need to put your dog in the crate, you can put the frozen Kong in the crate with them, and they will, you know, they'll eat that while you're not there, and think about, you know, they won't be so upset that you're gone. All right, now I'm going to take I guess I'll do the bones first. So the bones have the, you know, a bigger end and a smaller end, and this is a little messy. I take a glop, I just kind of stuff it in, just like you're stuffing it in. You could put this like in a piping bag or a piping bag, or like a Ziploc bag with the end cut off, and pipe it in there. That would probably be a little bit neater, but I don't do that. So I'm just gonna wipe that off. That one's a little, and then I just lay it flat there. So there's one. And like I said, these will freeze. I usually freeze them for about 24 hours before I give them to them, to make sure that they're nice and, you know, frozen. Now, sometimes you got to kind of poke it in there. So as I get the fork. So you just want to kind of stuff it. Put that one in there. Boop. This one. And these bones, you can find them at PetSmart. I got these at PetSmart. Pet Value, that's near ShopRite, has them. You can order them online. They also have ones, now sometimes the vet will say don't give your dog anything that's harder than like this part of your hand, because they can crack their teeth. And that is true, they can crack their teeth. So you could get ones that are made out of rubber, which I want to do, or get more Kongs that are also, you know, they're rubber, they won't crack a tooth on that. So I lay those down like that. And then when they go in the freezer, they're on their sides. They're not spilling all over the place. Oops. I don't know how much that got in there. All right. And when the dogs are done with them, I just take them and I rinse them out with just hot water. I don't use dish detergent or anything on them. Same with the Kongs. I just you can get a baby bottle brush and really get in there and clean it out. I usually use, I'll use hot water through the end. Now, sometimes you can put a little piece of their food, like a little piece of kibble, in there to stop this up. Actually, I'm gonna move one of these like that, because then I can put my Kongs like that. You can put a little piece of their food in there and it acts as a stopper. I'll do that just to show you. So, because if you don't want the glop to come out the end, you can just drop in, oops, there goes a piece. You can just drop in a couple pieces of their food, and it makes a stopper for the glop, so the glop doesn't go out the bottom, because these are going to stand up in the container. Let's see. Actually, I can put them sideways. So again, you just have to kind of poke it down in there with a fork or a butter knife. And you can really use, if you Google Kong recipes or like frozen Kong recipes, there's so many different ones. One of the ones will have, let's see if I put that like that. You could put even like broth, just like chicken broth or beef broth, and freeze that. Of course, you have to stop up the bottom. You could put, leftover like chicken and vegetables with a little broth and rice. Mix that up, stick it in the Kong, freeze it. There's so many recipes that you could just try different ones and see what you like. These are really mostly the ones that I've tried, only because they're easy, and they don't require a lot of preparation. You just have to have the ingredients on hand, and then once you have the Kongs and whatever else you're stuffing, you reuse those, so you have those. But I'm gonna look up a couple different ones and maybe try some different recipes this summer. Now, so there it is, and I'm gonna just put this in my freezer carefully so that it will stand up or on its side. And there they stay, and they'll stay there for about 24 hours until they're frozen solid. And then I just take a little bit and I just fill these little ice cube tray. And you don't have to fill them all the way up. They'll kind of even out a little bit. But that way you're not wasting any of the mixture. You're using it all. And these little ice cubes are perfect. Like I said, if you come in from a walk and your dog is hot and you just want to give them a little something, you can do that. Always supervise them if they're, with something like this, because it's an ice cube and you don't want them to choke. The Kong and the bones, they really can't choke on that because they're licking it out. They're not, they can't really, get the inside totally out into their mouth. And it looks like, let's see, just scraping out the rest here, just a little bit. So there it is. So I will put this in the freezer, and then probably, like I said, in about 24 hours, maybe even less, I will pop these out. I will put them into the Ziploc baggie, and then I have them for my dog. So I usually give them maybe like 1 ice cube a day each, and then the frozen Kong or bone at night. So they have 2 treats a day with this, and the ingredients are, you can make it whatever you want, but they're natural and you know what it is, and you don't have to, worry about any chemicals or any crazy ingredients that you're not really sure what it is. Like I said, look online. You can find tons of recipes. I've seen one that I saw that was cute was it was like a chicken pot pie, and it had like the frozen peas and carrots, and it had like chopped up chicken, and maybe like a little chicken broth, something like that. Or mashed potato you could put in there. And if your dog has an upset stomach, or is not, like has diarrhea or is vomiting, you are supposed to fast them for 24 hours with only water. So let's say your dog is vomiting or has diarrhea, don't give them any more food. Give them just water for 24 hours. And then when you start giving them food, give them like boiled ground beef and rice or boiled chicken and rice, and give them like, I usually will do like a tablespoon and see how they take that. And what I'll do is I'll take a little tiny bit of pumpkin, like not a lot, but like a tablespoon of food and maybe like that much pumpkin and an equal amount of plain yogurt, and mix it in with the ground beef and rice. And then the pumpkin and the plain yogurt also help to kind of settle their stomach. There's a lot of fiber in the pumpkin. So, and I'll give like maybe 1 tablespoon of the ground beef and rice with the pumpkin and yogurt every few hours until their stomach seems back to normal. If it's, going on a day or two and they're not able to keep anything down, then obviously call the vet, because you don't want them to get too dehydrated. But I hope this was helpful, and I hope your baby enjoys some delicious natural frozen treats.